welcome everybody to another episode of the Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hi Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. Now Chris, we've got a brand new show to tackle this week, haven't we? So what are we going to tackle?
Well, Dave, I've been trying to get you on board with this Circle UK for a long time. You'd flicked in and out of the odd episode. Having none of it, I have bigged up this last UK season. And lo and behold, season 1 and now season 2 of the US version is on Netflix. It's a stripped down version. The UK one runs for about 25, 30 episodes over about 5 or 6 weeks. This one's 12 episodes for series 1 and series 2, which is what we're going to cover, is 13 episodes. So it's binge watchable, but we're going to do it in segments and they're under chapters in this series. So we're going to do episodes 1 to 4 today. And I'm pleased that you've actually sat down and watched it because I love the idea of this show and the catfishing and everything. So I'm a massive fan. So much so, Dave, and if you're one of our Patreons, you will know this on our bonus episode, that I am actually applying for the next series in the UK. I'm not saying I'm going to get on, but I am going to try my damnedest with the application. About halfway through, I'm at the stage where it's like, why are you funny? Why would you like to come on this? So I'm not sure what to put or who I'm going to offend, Dave, but I'm going to give it my best shot anyway.
Very good, very good. And we did chat a little bit on our bonus episode, didn't we? I was sort of thinking, maybe I could join you. We could do a whole team-up thing, which, you know, apparently they've done in the previous UK seasons, but I'm not sure I could swing that with work. I have no fucking idea, Chris, how you're going to swing this with work, but I'm sure you'll cross that bridge when you come to it.
I just go for these things and then worry about it later, Dave. It's a life experience. You've got to live on the coattails all the time, and there's no planning with my work and life. You know that, Dave. So
well, it's more kind of an approach of fire, aim.
Fire. What am I shooting at? You've only fired the bullet, but anyway.
So, Chris, I mean, I know some of our longer time listeners listen along, even if they haven't watched the show. So, what was the basic premise of it?
The basic premise is you've got a load of people, which, coincidentally, it's ridiculous, but this is filmed in Salford, Manchester, and the actual contestants fly over from the US because it's the standard studio they use for the UK version. I'm not sure whether it's used around the world because it's been circulated now and distributed all over, so maybe that's the same reason. They've got one destination, everybody comes to film at it, but the best thing about it is, guys, and Dave knows Manchester so well, is the outside shots are of a flat in Salford. Now, certain parts of Salford have been glammed up, Dave, but in other parts, it was almost like a war zone growing up. So it's not one of the best areas in Manchester, but it's not one of the worst. It's just an average working class city. And I love the fact that they're using this sort of waterside flat, which is clearly in UK, but they're using outside shots from a different city in the US. So, yeah, amazing. But yeah, basically the people come in. Some people come in themselves, so if I come in, I would be me, or you would be you, Dave, and then I would be, say, Sam. So it's about catfishing. And more often than not, this is true, in the UK one, the most people who've won it have been catfishes, Dave. So it's really interesting. I think there's been 3 or 4 series, and I think at least 3 times there've been catfishes who've won it. And honestly, the first series, the UK one, there was 2 contestants. One of them was playing his girlfriend and the other guy wasn't a catfish. And when he found out that she wasn't who she was, he kicked off, Dave. Like, wouldn't even speak to him or anything. Like, really angry. So the premise of it is everyone's playing a game. People trying to suss out who's real and who's not. Some come in who are 20-year-old and play as a OAP, stuff like, because there was one in the UK one called Saeed who played as his grandfather. So Saeed was early 20s YouTuber and he was playing as his Asian grandfather who was like 60 odd, but he kept doing his grandfather's accent and how his grandfather would speak on text. Convinced everyone to the end, Dave. Didn't win it, but he got there. Really good guy. So I love this thing where there was a girl on the last UK one, Manrika. She's talking to this guy who's a soldier and she basically had a date. She was like revealing, and then at one point she went, I'm sure she's a woman. There's no way a man's this compassionate and all this. And they had like these like computer dates where they're in a room facing each other, but they can't see each other. And it wasn't. It was one of his. This girl actually won the whole show, the catfish. It was absolutely stunning, but she won it. and it was, oh, David weren't happy when they found out they weren't who they were, because they have a face-to-face meeting at the end of the series, whoever's left, and that just fucking everyone's like, oh my God. So it's brilliant. And when someone gets voted off, because you can tell I'm dead enthusiastic about this, but when someone gets voted off or gets blocked from the circle, they have the choice to go to somebody's apartment, whether it's someone who's they've not liked, someone they've liked, but nobody else in the circle knows who has visited them. And it's up to the person who's still in the circle if they want to reveal that to people, which some do and some don't, but it makes for great TV, I find. I really, really enjoy it.
That is good. I do have to say, it is really jarring when you're seeing shots of like LA or wherever they're trying to show, it's clearly a US city, and then you get the up close shot of the Salford Flats. It's just clearly not in the same place, but I guess people fall for this shit. But I suppose it makes excuse me. I suppose it makes perfect sense. If you've got a tailored set of flats, I mean, it's a big old building, isn't it? And there's only like 8 of them in there. And I'm assuming they're not on one floor, or else they'd be able to hear each other.
Yeah, I thought that, Dave, because me and Sam always say when watching it, like, they cut the camera so it looks like they're all within the space of, like, the circle. It's such, but I don't think they are, because you'd hear everything. And some of them leave the rooms. We have to go, because there's a gym there, there's a communal gym. So, and there is a communal outside bit as well where you can sit down and chill out in a jacuzzi. So I know they're not going to release them at the same time, because all the doors are going to be locked. But they give them food, they give them parcels, people are going to the door, which looks like it's at the same time. It's probably not. But you'll hear things, won't you? It's just natural, unless it's got the best soundproofing we've ever seen.
Yeah, which, these are thrown up Salford Flats, aren't they? It's not, the walls are going to be like paper. But if you can sell this series on, so we know it's being done in the US, so you need to block out so many weeks that you're going to shoot the US season, and then say they do it for Australia and all these other different countries, you just keep reusing that set of flats, don't you?
They do, and they have the US first series. But they did a bit of like the Big Brother, Dave. So, when you used to have the celebrity Big Brother, they'd set the house up for 3 weeks of the celebs being in there. But we knew that the proper Big Brother would be nearly 2-3 months. And in the space of about 4 days, they'd go in and just ground for, like DIY SOS it and just go in and completely change it. And that's all they've done, like with a lot of the apartments. And I'm calling them apartments because in the UK, we call them flats, don't we, Dave? But we call them the apartments for our US listeners. They have gone in and basically re-wallpapered and painted and stuff, but it's the same setup as the last UK series.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I must admit, Chris, this, especially after following on some problematic shows, Bachelor, this is just nice and fun. and I know I did try this out last year, in amongst some other shit that you were trying to get me to try out, and it didn't hook me straight away. And I think the fact that it was just a relentless daily schedule with the Circle in the UK as well, it put me off a little bit. But I have to say, I've really enjoyed this. It's almost the same, Chris, as my journey with the there you go, bullshit bingo #1 journey there. Journey with the Love Island stuff. I think the thing that hooked me is going through that first episode and making sure I've got my notes. I know who's who, where they're coming from. Are they going to play as themselves? Are they going to play as another character? And who is this character to them? Are they completely made up, or are they a friend or something like that? And you start to get into the game then. And I think it has been really interesting. Now we're going to cover this series in kind of chapters. So we're going to do episodes 1 to 4, and then we're going to do 5 through to 8, and then 9 to 11, and then we'll handle 12, the finale, on its own. So a bit different to what we normally do, Chris, because we normally like to dissect one particular episode and have a bit of a laugh about that. So it's going to be different for us to go through this in this format, but I thought we might start off with just going through the initial characters. Now, the first person we meet is Savannah. She's 24. She's from LA, and she's got a job on Capitol Hill. Says she loves a bit of glitz and glam. What do you make of Savannah when she first comes into the apartment?
I really like her when she first come into it, Dave. I did. I thought she's a pretty girl. Seems to have everything about her. Didn't seem that annoying, because we'll get to some of the other guys, and probably some of the other people are fucking annoying as hell. But she doesn't seem that annoying. But so I thought, you know what, she could be a bit of a dark horse, bit of someone who may sneak in there into the final. So yeah, didn't have any problem with her. I thought she seemed quite genuine. The fact that she's playing herself as well is always interesting as the first one. So no, I was all in on Savannah. I thought, there's a chance she could make it. As a Circle aficionado, Dave, I thought she has the right ingredients.
And, again, we calling back to our discussion about, should me and you just go in there. I think they're obviously coached to do this, to basically have no inner monologue at all. Because every thought that they have, they speak out loud.
Yeah.
And I find it, it's helpful, but I found that whole process when she was setting up a profile, choosing which picture to have, and, how are they going to describe themselves in their biography. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I did. And that's one thing, Dave, I will say on this, and this isn't to sort of dampen your enthusiasm because you've never watched this before. However, these first contestants seem very polished compared to the first series in the US. Now, a guy called Joey came in from New York, bartender. He got pictures with Lady Gaga and Adele and stuff.
Was he a part-time actor as well?
Yeah, he was Al Pacino's butt double, I think it was, Dave, as well. But no, he comes in proper New York. You know what I mean? He genuinely was sort of. Some were like, oh, fucking hell, who is this guy? Really loved him as a character. Great guy, actually, Dave, to be honest, towards the end of the series. So with this, I do agree, the inner monologue is strange because you've got to keep talking. It's not going to be entertaining if you sat there in deep thought thinking, you bastard. You've got to say out loud, you're a fucking bastard. It's basically, you're doing the opposite of everything that you would do in real life. You smile when you really want to fucking go mad at somebody. So it's really interesting, but I agree. Savannah, I think all of them, that's the one thing for me that just had that slight bit of polish to him. Whereas the first series and the UK ones, there isn't that many of them who look too polished. However, the girl who won the UK one did say they were trying to get her the year before. Well, they're supposed to be open auditions. So that is a little bit sneaky because Hunter off Gladiators was on it, as you know.
Yeah, I remember you saying. But I must admit, I think for Savannah here, again, I don't really have that much context. Don't really remember a lot about that first episode that I tried last year. But she comes in, and I'm thinking, I think she's got a good chance. She seems nice enough. So strong start. And then we have Jack coming in. And Jack is a 20-year-old astrophysicist, an economics student. So I don't know which one's his major and minor and what have you, but he's come in with a plan, hasn't he? He's going to be very strategic and cutthroat, and basically he's going to go in as his friend Emily, who's a 21-year-old sorority girl. So, what do you reckon of Jack?
Well, I think it's one of them, Dave. When you come into a show like this and say you're going to be the bad guy as such, I don't think it ever plays out like that. He come in and I'm like, all right, fair enough. But sometimes it's like actions speak louder than words. You be the bad guy by just letting us watch it. If you're going to come in and give us that, speech, it's difficult to live up to it, Dave, especially in a reality show, because most of the bad guys and girls in these shows you remember him. Look at Victoria from the last season of The Bachelor, Dave. You're going to remember her. She's going to pop up all over the Bachelor Nation for that reason. And some of the guys that were on Claire's season of The Bachelorette, that even Claire, the bad guys, bad girls, the characters who really stand out. I don't necessarily think I've not seen enough from his personality in his first episode to say yeah, he is going to be a J.R. Ewing of the Circle. I don't necessarily believe that. But I like the idea of him coming in as his friend.
Yeah. You know he's got the hots for.
Yes. Oh, 100%, Dave. I'm glad you picked up on that because we said the same. Of course he did. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'd be totally funny if I go on you in with you. Please date me. Yeah, I was thinking what you were saying about people coming in with saying I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's like Love Island, isn't it? I've got a great sense of humour and I'm going to come in here and ruffle feathers, and then like within a day they're just chilling by the pool having a chat. But no, I mean, I obviously have a bit of a connection with Jack here, being an astrophysicist as well. So, I thought, oh, go on, show everyone you're not a tool. And I think he is a little bit of a tool, isn't he? He's definitely got a game plan that we see unfold. He's trying to play the diplomat constantly. So he's not being cutthroat at all. I don't know if we're going to see that further on in the series. But yeah, I was half rooting for Jack because of the astrophysics connection, but yeah, I think he's not doing a lot to go against the stereotype, to be honest. But Chris, now, what do you reckon to Bryant, who is a 26-year-old from, I think he said Chico, California? He's definitely from California. I've never heard of where Chico is. And he teaches breath work. What do you reckon to Bryant, Chris?
Dave, he's definitely from California. He's definitely onto the probably movie actress scene who believe in this bullshit. And he probably is a breathwork specialist, teacher, whatever. I've never heard anything like it. Either that or it's the UK version of a social media influencer, Dave, or a part-time model. Fucking breathwork. I've never heard it. Someone else can correct us if we are wrong. In the UK, there's no such thing as a breathwork teacher, Dave. If you went round touting yourself as one of them, people would be like, yeah, okay, mate. I'll just give you all my life savings as well. It seems one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of. I could understand from a yoga point of view, like a meditation thing. If that's what he is, then fair enough. But I've never heard meditation called breath work.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what he was saying at first. It was only because it came up a bit later that I realised what he was saying. But I mean, it's the fact that people like this, they're like, oh yeah, I'm totally zen with the world. Nothing can ruffle me, and I had all this anxiety in my life, and then everything's wonderful. It's like, come on, it's all right to be pissed off as well sometimes,
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get into that, but yeah. I don't know. He sort of. I didn't hold out much hope for Bryant, to be honest, and especially if the others are playing the game. Now we then meet Delisa, who's 32. She's a stay-at-home mum, and she's going to play as her husband, her single father, Trevor. Well, it's her husband, Trevor, but she's playing him as a single father. So. What do you reckon to her whole strategy there?
It's going to be interesting, that, Dave, because as a mother, people are going to naturally ask questions about her child, or his child, Trevor's child, as the character.
Yeah, as a father.
As a father, it's going to. She may trip herself up, Dave, because it doesn't matter what you do. Everyone's playing a game. Everyone's looking from previous experience. One slip of a word, like you put an and instead of a the, or a me instead of a, stuff like that. Everyone jumps on it, Dave. Everyone jumps on it. Everyone's got a pen and paper. They're sat there furiously writing stuff down. It's great to watch. So comes in. I didn't have any opinion on her. Nice girl, really pretty, genuinely seemed really like into her husband and a family and everything. Really good. How that'll play out, I don't know, Dave, but she seemed really genuine to me.
And this is why I was getting sucked into the game, because it is interesting when we're doing the gender swap, when you're playing as someone else, because you do conform to these different stereotypes, don't you? You don't want to be sending a message and it's like #girl power or something like that, and it's like, oh fuck, I'm Trevor, so both with her and with some of the other players as well. I wonder, can they keep up that pretense that they're kind of they're the opposite sex to what they are, and can they just keep in character for the whole time?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And that's what I say. It's great TV to watch because you study what they say then as well, and then someone will go, "Hang on, they didn't say that before," and all this. So yeah, really interesting. And then we met Tara Lisa, didn't we, Dave? 34-year-old from Dallas, Texas, full-time substitute teacher, and she was playing as herself, Dave, and nearly said something else, checking the nose. Well, it might get lonely, Chris. It might get lonely in there, guys. I'm not sure whether that'll be on the fucking telly, but anyway.
How long are they in for?
If you go from the start to the end, it's about a month, roughly. The UK one is, but if you're watching it for the US with these episodes, I don't know. I'm presuming at least 3 weeks, Dave. At least 3 weeks.
Well, actually, let's put a pin in that. We can come back to that in a couple of characters' time, can't we? Because it'll be more relevant then. Now, what do you reckon to Tara Lisa, sorry?
Yeah, no problems, Dave. No issues with her. Nothing stood out from me. I just thought, right, okay. Seemed a bit polished, but I think all of them are. I think you're right. The inner monologue thing, they've been trained to just keep talking. Either that or it's a natural thing and they've picked the people who can't stop talking, like someone like myself, Dave.
Yeah. I've got to tell you, something rubbed me up the wrong way against Tara Lisa there, because she's a substitute teacher and she's swearing. She's dropping the F-bomb on national TV. Now, when I was doing the coaching stuff and I was working with kids, I wouldn't swear because it's like, well, if someone stumbles across this, I wouldn't want to be, that's just not good form, is it, Chris?
No.
And so the fact, it's probably nothing, but I just didn't think that was appropriate. If you're, and I know a substitute teacher, certainly in the US, is a little bit of a step down, isn't it, from a regular teacher? But I don't know. I didn't like that.
It's funny, because I never realised that. And in the last series of the UK, there was a teacher on that who seemed like he was one of the worst people you'd ever met, Dave. He was absolutely just bitching and moaning and playing everyone. He didn't last very long, but he was a teacher as well. That's really bizarre.
Yeah. It is bizarre, isn't it? I mean, it's not quite as bad, Chris, as, say, going on Naked Attraction. Can you imagine that? If you went on that as a teacher, Christ, there'd be literally about 9:30 on Monday morning. It'd have swarmed through the whole school. But anyway, let's move off that. We next meet Lee, and he's 58 years old. He's an author from Texas. He's written 39 books, Chris, with a female pen name. So he says, he's a natural catfish. What do you reckon to Lee's game there?
It's quite similar to what happened on the UK. And I'm sorry to keep reference pointing the UK one, but we had a guy in the UK one who came on as his 80-year-old nan. Dave, what 80-year-old lady or man is going to want to come on a reality show stuck in a fucking apartment for 3 weeks? And nobody believed...
The 80-year-old nans have been in lockdown for the last year.
Yeah, but all right.
Getting all free shit and stuff. Nice apartment. It'll be a nice day out, Chris.
No, Dave, my 91-year-old nan fucking moans for like a trooper, Dave. He definitely wouldn't be saying that. But no, I genuinely think that it's difficult to play somebody when there's such a big age gap. Now, they all called her Nana Dot, this woman. She got to the end and it was obviously the grandson. He got to like just before the final and then revealed that, he wasn't. And they were all pretty shocked. But this is an interesting one. He's an author. He's 58. Like say, he's written books as a woman, and he had a pseudo name and everything, which is quite interesting. But the guy he's picked just looks like a catfish. He looks just like one of them Instagram sort of model type characters, doesn't he? I know some of them, Instagram could be your best friend, Dave, with the filters and everything. We know that for all of us. But I don't know. From the minute I saw his get up and character, I was like, you just do not seem genuine at all, irrespective of us knowing who he is.
Yeah, I think it's going to be easier to play someone older than it is to play someone younger.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I could. You know, Chris, I'm going to choose to use different words than I was going to use there. Oh, go on, I'll tell you. I was going to say, I don't think I'd be able to pull off a 20-year-old.
A few years younger, Dave, you'll be going off in fucking cuffs, so don't... Let's fucking move right on from that one, Dave. Your Christmas cracker jokes are getting worse, right?
If I just said it and moved on, it wouldn't have been as bad. But it just got into my head just before I said it, and it's just tickled me now.
Oh my god.
Anyway, right. So River, yeah, I think, and he's got this whole sob story, hasn't he? That he's just broken up the week before coming onto this thing. I think that is going to be a tricky thing, and I think the fact that he's written stories, he's authored these books. I just don't know. I don't know how well that does prepare you, and I don't know. I think, if anything, I think the fact that he's just had this breakup will be his downfall. Not the fact that he's playing someone who's 20 and, he's trying to learn all the lingo and all the hashtags and stuff like that. I think that's going to be difficult enough. But, I think he's going to find it difficult to keep up that persona.
No, yeah, I agree. It's a strange one. But Dave, look, we're not even minor celebrities. We're nobodies in the sphere of the UK, US. We are, we're just two guys who talk about podcasts, right? We've done a lot of shows on the CD Reality Cast. A lot, Dave. And the next person who comes in is Chloe. Didn't have a clue who she was. She's English, fucking annoying. I was like, who is this? Next minute, all the contestants are going, oh my God, it's Chloe from Too Hot to Handle. No, it's not, because they've told you exactly who she is, because there's no fucking way any of these people knew who she was, Dave. Absolute bullshit. She's not even a celebrity, and she's on this show like she's Bertie Big Bollocks. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that bit. That's the one thing I don't buy about this. She was annoying on Too Hot to Handle, because I had to go back and remember who she was. She threw a few hissy fits at the end of that series, but she wasn't memorable. And she's come on here like she's the star of the show, and it's like, you're not reality TV royalty. You're not Kim Kardashian or someone who actually has a reality background, for real. She's just, it just annoyed me so much how fake that was.
I don't know if I saw it that way. I don't think everyone said, did they? I think the lady playing Trevor, what's her name? Delisa. I think she called out that she was off Too Hot to Handle. I don't think they all called it.
I thought a few had called. I thought two had, at least two, maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but I thought also, at least a couple had.
Don't forget, Chris, this time last year, there wasn't much shit coming out. So, I remember when Too Hot to Handle came out, because me and you were like, what is this? This looks ridiculous.
But we tuned in every week.
I did recognise her. I don't know. I wouldn't have said, "Oh, it's Chloe from Too Hot to Handle," but I did recognise her. I'd have taken a bit to remember, but I don't know. I think it's feasible. Look, Chris, the other thing that came out a little bit before this, but I watched it around the same time, was Tiger King. If Joe fucking Exotic walks in there, I know who he is. If Carol Baskin walks in, I know who she is.
Yeah, good point.
So I don't know if that was fake. You could be right, but I was taking that on face value.
Good stuff, Dave. No, honestly, that's how I felt. And then the last character we got, who's playing himself, is Courtney Dave, who's a pop culture show on the internet. I've never heard of him, but obviously totally different sphere to what me and you'd be looking at on YouTube anyway. I'm looking at like the best knockout fights from 2020 and best car chases from movies and stuff, and even some sad stuff sometimes, Dave. Some lovely, the military people come home and see the kids. So not necessarily something where I'd be looking at a pop culture show on the internet. So I don't know how successful he is. But I will say that he's quite a bubbly character, and I think he's made for something like The Circle, Dave. I really do. I think he slipped straight into it. He's obviously done his homework. He's watched it previously. Out of everyone, even Chloe, who's been on reality TV, I think Courtney was the one who stood out above all of them, as in he knows how to play this game before we've even got going.
Yeah. So, and here's where we're going to go off-piste a little bit. So, again, we're covering episodes 1 to 4, so we're not going to go through everything in granular detail, but just call out some of the major things. And what I found interesting, Chris, was, after the initial bedding in period, they had their voting, didn't they? And Savannah and Terralicia get they get the top 2 spots, and old Bryant gets the last spot. And this is where, it did crack me up, because he's just like, oh no, that's not great. And again, he's trying to act all zen about it. I'm just like, just kick the chair or something, it's okay. Just be pissed off with it, But what I found fascinating about it is you really can snatch defeat from the jaws of victory there, can't you? Because you then have to choose who you're going to block from the circle, and that's kind of where it ended in the first episode, and you go into the second episode, and they're having these different chats to different people, and I just found it really interesting how that went south for those two so quickly.
Yeah, and it did, and that's and you're right, Dave. A couple of little private messages, couple of conversations, and it messes it up, and it's so easy. You see the swing, you'll see it as the episodes go on. Someone will be top of the tree, and they'll get like the exemption. The next one, the bottom, because people have gone, oh, hang on a minute. Or if someone gets voted off, what'll happen is if you want to give up that to the other people or certain friends, that certain person's come to see you, next minute their decision will be, that person's a bastard, or that person's lying or playing a game, and then it just completely flips on its head, and the whole circle then gets to know. It's like a word of mouth thing, and eventually you get back to, and you see it so often in this, and that's what's good about this. Someone you think's going to win, all of a sudden gets voted off.
Yeah. But they did, Chris, decide to boot out Bryant. I think everyone thought he was just a bit too good to be true, a bit too goody two shoes. Or, just irritated by him, like me. But I tell you what was nice. So this was the first time I'd seen it where, he gets to choose who is he going to speak to, and he goes to speak to River, which is in fact Lee, and they have a bit of a chat there. And of course, Bryant's very, very cordial and everything. And actually, I got a little bit choked up here, Chris, when they had to say their goodbyes and stuff, and you could see that Lee is quite an emotional character, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, to be fair, and I agree with that. When we watched it, was the same. It was nice the way they spoke about each other and spoke to each other, irrespective of Lee being a catfish. Bryant was all in, and I'm always suspicious of people like Bryant who are too nice, Dave, too zen, but I don't think he was just a nice guy. I just think they misunderstood him, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know, Chris. I just think, they're 10 a penny over on the West Coast, aren't they? Yeah. Just get a job. I just think, it's natural. It's okay to be annoyed with something at some time, Don't be a prick, but, just this whole zen calm, I just find it false. I think I just don't believe it. I think that's my fundamental problem. So you're right. Actually, in this talk that he had with Lee at the end, he did come across as just a really nice, genuine guy. But yeah, just a little bit too much for me.
No, look, I get it, Dave, because I don't buy all that, stuff as well for a lot of people. But it was a sweet moment. I agree with that. And I think as he goes off, we get introduced to, again, Dave, another one, Lance Bass from NSYNC, and it's actually one of his friends, his assistant, Lisa. She comes in. Is anybody going to buy that?
Well, I don't know. It's a low enough. It's another Z-lister, isn't it? Well, it's probably further up the chain than Chloe, to be fair. Although Chloe was saying NSYNC. What's that? I mean, come on. I just I forget how
Shocking.
young some of these people are sometimes, Chris.
Justin Timberlake must be having kittens, Dave, if you ever watches this. Oh, that's terrible.
I mean, fucking, to her, like, NSYNC. When was NSYNC a thing? Like, was it? It wasn't in the 90s, was it? 90s was more like New Kids on the Block, and it must have been 2000s.
I think so. Maybe late 90s, early 2000s, I think. That's when they broke on. I think Justin Timberlake's about our age.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, to her, it's like us thinking about the Beatles or something. Well, maybe not quite that old, but yeah. So I think she's chosen a challenging one there, hasn't she? So to pick him, and the fact that she knows him really well, okay. But I still think it would be interesting. It was only Courtney who recognised who he was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, to be fair. And I think as well, Dave, as this has gone on, the reason why I said about Savannah being really nice is she isn't that nice, really, Dave. So we get to sort of episode 3 and 4, and she has this real thing with Terralicia, and Savannah sets up a room with Courtney, basically to turn against her. But then Terralicia sort of knows what's going on because they have a dust-up, don't they? They have a bit of a disagreement. And basically, Terralicia turns everyone against Savannah. So initially, the voting they did, Terralicia's 7th, Savannah is 6th, she's okay, and then it goes all the way down.
No, she's 8th, isn't she?
Sorry, yeah, 7th, yeah, because Blake's gone.
Terralicia's last.
Yeah, last, sorry, yeah.
Savannah, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously Blake's gone. So she's not going to get voted off at this moment, get blocked. But Savannah's absolutely delighted. She's like, yeah, great, I've got... And that's how it's sort of like, she's all cheering. However, exactly what you said earlier, what a swing in this episode, Dave, because it flips its head, and when it comes to actually blocking someone, Savannah goes. And I'm just like, how is that? I thought Savannah was a shoo-in. No matter, even though I knew she was playing games, I honestly thought that she would be there for the duration. I was quite shocked that she left.
Yeah, I was as well. It was kind of good to see at least one of them go. A bit full of themselves, weren't they? And Savannah's like, they think I'm a game player. I mean, I am, but I don't want them to know that.
Yeah, it's good.
So it is funny when they are thinking out loud, or speaking out loud rather, for us. Thinking out. No, I was right first time.
You were right first time.
Yeah. So. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, sorry, and I was just going to say, then she actually goes to meet Courtney, doesn't she, and sort of puts the boot in again. She tells him to watch Emily and Terralicia, so...
Yeah, I mean, Courtney already had Terralicia's card marked, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was convinced. And I was a little bit surprised that both of them ended up in the bottom 2. But, it was very clear that having that public dust-up, and basically it was all about who had whose back and what have you, wasn't it? And the thing that I think might have sealed their fate was when Chloe and Emily, played by Jack. I was wondering which bloody names do I use when they were discussing who should we send home. They'd been invited into this chat with Savannah, and Savannah had basically said, can I count on you to have my back? And I thought, well, that is an almost impossible question to answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're all in this for yourselves. You're all in this to play the game. So you'll have anyone's back when it's convenient for you. And that's fine. It's like playing a game of Risk. Form alliances. Brilliant. But when there's 2 on the board, you're going to have to take each other out, aren't you? So that's what I like about all this game playing. So the fact, though, that Savannah had spoken to Chloe and Emily, as she thinks it is, and said, have you got my back? And then everyone agreed that they did. I think putting them in that position has probably, ended up with her getting the boot out of there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree, and pretty much that's the end of the episode, David. And it's great the 4 episodes come into one, because the thing is, we can't do like the Bachelor, Bachelorette, where you do an episode at a time, because the cliffhangers are left across 2 pissing episodes. Now, it's okay for the Netflix format. If you're tuning in now and you've not watched it, it's great, but they've actually released them in these blocks. So we had 4 episodes, which is why we were doing it in this way. The next 4 came out after it, because this whole series is pretty much there now, bar the final on there. So you have to do it in a block like this. So no, it's been great to just do this and get us in the groove of doing something completely different as well.
Yeah, and any predictions for what's going to happen next?
I'm not sure, because I haven't, obviously we've not watched ahead. We've just watched the 4 episodes. I think maybe that as this is going on, I think Lee might get sussed out, and Chloe. I'm not sure. Chloe seems to be a darling on it at the moment. Everyone loves her, but I'm not completely convinced, because she's fucking annoying when you're watching her on the telly, Dave. I must admit, she's playing up to the camera so fucking much. It's unbelievable.
She's definitely playing up to the camera.
Oh God,
I don't know. I find her. I mean, she's not the smartest cookie, but I find her quite endearing. She wears her heart on her sleeve a little bit more. When she sees a bloke on the screen, she gets a bit gooey-eyed as well, even though she knows half of these people are probably catfish. I can't wait till she finds out Trevor's a woman.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'd say that's the other thing, Chris. All this thing about, girls stick together, hashtag what fucking ever it was, and then as soon as there's a bit of conflict, it's all this backstabbing and throwing each other under the bus, because ultimately it was 2 supposed girls, and girls have got each other's backs and stuff, and then mind you, they had to throw one of the girls out, I guess, didn't they?
Yeah.
So did they have to?
I think the way the game was going, yes. Bottom 2, Dave. So it had to. You have to do it that way. So even though these groups, you're trying to keep yourself in that top 3 or 4, because they will replace these people.
Couldn't they have said, who do they want? I think the brief was they just had to get rid of someone, don't they? So, they could have booted anyone out. They could have booted River out. If the girls really are sticking together, chuck out one of the boys.
Yeah.
So it's bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, to be honest.
But I think, so my prediction, I think Emily is at risk now.
Yeah.
Because Savannah was really pissed. She let Courtney know. So Savannah got to go to, who do you think deserves to win? And that's who she went to visit. And, she let her know that Emily promised that she'd have her back. I don't know why she singled out Emily, because Chloe was part of that as well. I guess Emily was the one delivering the message. So Courtney's definitely got, a target on Emily's back. But also, I think Chloe, even before the influencers, when they had to choose who was going to go, she's getting frustrated with how non-committal Emily is.
Yeah.
And Jack's trying to play a smart game, isn't he? He's trying to not put himself out too far. But I think that's frustrating Chloe a bit.
Yeah, I agree. And again,
even though, Chris, she does exactly the fucking same thing the other way. It's the same old thing with these reality shows, isn't it? I'm going to hold you to a higher standard than I hold myself.
Yeah. You're allowed to, Dave. You need to for the ratings, but no, it's been good. It's been really good. So if you want to contact us, guys, at CD RealityCast, if you want to follow us on social media, that is how you contact us on social media. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. And if you do want to support us, get us a patreon.com/CD RealityCast. And a big thanks to Kent Gustafsson, Lucky Lulu Green, and the wonderful Lauren as well, Dave, who's bought us another coffee, Dave. And I don't even have caffeinated drinks these days, but it's going through the roof at the moment. So thank you very much, guys. We do really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, Chris, I have to say, in terms of your recommendations, this is one of the better ones. And I do appreciate the small number of episodes, I have to say. Like I say, the UK Circle being on every night, that is a bit grueling. But no, this has been a lot of fun, and just completely different from The Bachelor and Temptation Island. it doesn't leave me with that feeling of, oh, I can't believe that happened, you know? It just does seem like more of a fun game, like I say, a game of Risk or something like that, you know, only there's 100 grand up for grabs.
Good work, good work. No, thank you, David. It's been a great one. So, as always, thanks, guys. It's been absolutely brilliant again, and we pick up another series for another couple of weeks. So, yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Bye now.